Hi there, and welcome to the Curious Collective podcast, conversations designed for the veteran and first responder community to bring awareness to those holistic practices that help us live our best life. So, tap into the wisdom and knowledge of our guests to heal, transform, and live as your true soulful self. Now, listeners, today with me, I have the amazing Kylie James, who's up at Veterans Retreat. So, welcome, Kylie, finally to the podcast.
Thank you.
So please introduce yourself to the listeners and what it is that you're doing in the world right now.
Okay, well, I'm Kylie. I spent 20 years in the Army, and I'm currently living up at a beautiful spot called Mother Mountain, just outside of Gympie, and running a holistic wellness retreat called Veterans Retreat, who also support homeless veterans and do equine therapy and those sort of things. So, yeah.
And I met you first, probably I think it was back in 2005, 2006. We worked together at Kapuka as recruit instructors. I think you were down there then.
Yep.
And now to see you doing this sort of work is just so amazing. And I see the transformation in people's lives when they go along to even just spend time on the land. How did you find this block and why did you love it so much?
Yeah, so when I came back from my last deployment, actually, I went through a relationship breakdown after difficulties while I was overseas. And I pretty well was getting medically discharged for PTSD. So all of that was happening. And I wasn't sure where life was headed and financial security getting out. So I sold everything, bought a caravan that my kids and I lived in, and then we sort of hit the road and went to find our piece of paradise. So the Sunshine Coast was way too busy for me. I was living down near Caboolture. Going inland was too far away from the beach and services. And yeah, I found the beautiful community of Gympie, which was much more affordable as well, and but still had great services, big enough town and close enough to the coast and my family in Brisbane. So yeah, I started looking around, and the moment I drove onto this piece of land, I sort of looked out at that view and just went in my head, I'm like, I'm buying it.
Yeah.
So I didn't tell the agent that at the time. I was just playing it cool, and I'm like, yeah. But yeah, there was nothing going to stop me from getting this piece of absolutely magical land. I hadn't, that was a moment that I just like exhaled when I got onto this property and looked at that view. I was like, yeah, that's peaceful. That's what I want. That's where I want to be. So
And I guess even since the first time that you experienced that, and now when you're out there experiencing it, there's just probably elements of the property that speak to you a bit more than others now.
oh yeah, definitely. The Tree of Life up in the Zen Zone is just a magical space. Down on the bottom creek line where we have a big bell tent, aptly named the Grotto. So yeah, that's also magical. And but yeah, I still exhale every time I drive in that gate.
Yeah, so good. Even the drive down the driveway to me, I was just up at your property on Saturday for one of the retreats, which I'm sure we'll mention later. And as I'm driving in, I'm like, that's so good. Just driving down that driveway
Yeah,
to the main area.
absolutely. Definitely feels that way to me every time I drive in. And it just, yeah, I never drive in feeling crappy. I always drive in just sort of like exhaling at that gate
Mm.
down the driveway, just going, yeah, this place is magic.
So good. And tell me more about the horses. So you do equine therapy up there. What made you sort of start in that space and what are you enjoying about it?
Yeah, so we have four horses here at the moment, a donkey and three ponies. And look, I'm not a horsey person, and I'm not very well versed in the horses. I loved the sheep and how much therapy they sort of gave me. But a person I met was very much into horses, and I bought myself a whaler, the Australian war horse. And then when I met my current partner, Kate, she brought horses with her as well, and is just horse crazy. And yeah, just the grounding. I've got this one pony called Jess. She was going to get shot in this 20-acre paddock because nobody could catch her. So being a typical military person, I'm like, I've got this. Um, but it took me almost 2 hours for her to come up to me
Mm.
and got a hold of her, and they said, "Oh, you caught her, you own her." So and yeah, I love her. She's like my spirit animal. She hates people. She's fantastic. She's the hardest one to ever even be able to get a pat out of. So it's really good because a lot of the veterans and first responders that come here like a challenge. So when I say that she doesn't like people, they're like, I'm going to get a pat. And it's great because they're out in the paddock an hour, 2 hours, grounding, really being
Mm.
mindful, and without even really knowing it. So,
Mm.
so
Mm.
yeah, it's beautiful. And that's love. I just love seeing how they interact with people and how they choose people and how they interact between themselves. And yeah, if we listen to the horses, they're just, yeah, magical beings.
Mm. I think so too. Even when you used to have the family campouts on your property, I used to love watching the children of the veterans interacting with the horses and the difference between when an adult went up as to when the kids were up, like feeding them grass from the ground.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's absolutely beautiful. And the animals are so drawn to neurodivergent people as well. The
Mm.
horses especially really drawn to their energy. So it's lovely to see the differences. Um, that gung-ho veteran, like straight in, the horse is like, well, see ya. Um,
Yeah,
but that gentle child, they're just like, hey,
yeah.
you're not threatening me, you know?
So beautiful. So you've been running these amazing retreats up there. When did they start and what sort of evolution have you been through to what they are now?
Yeah, well, the first one started in October 2020. And that was because DVA contacted me about Veterans Health Week and said, hey, would you like to run some activities? I didn't actually know about it. And then obviously that's when I reached out to you and said, hey, Katie, you do this woohoo stuff. You want to do some chakra and some crystals and some doTERRA and stuff. And yeah, you connected with another facilitator and in SAS, and you guys came up and ran a weekend for the girls who were hitting me up about having some sort of reunion. I think we had about 30 women that weekend.
Mm,
It was absolutely magical and everybody loved it. And it was so good afterwards. And the high that I got from it. And yeah, I just knew then. I'm like, yeah, this fills my cup. This is what I want to do.
mm,
And yeah, we just ran our eighth women's one. We run those twice a year because of how popular they are.
mm.
And we've got our men's one and also our community ones. So and then a kids one as well. So no, they're very, very special, and exactly what I think this land is designed for.
Yeah, and I know there's variety and each sort of event is different, but what sort of offerings can people look at if they're coming up to attend one of these wellness retreats?
Yeah, so definitely sharing circles is one of the big thing that we do on all of those retreats, which is really nice at the start and generally at the end as well, just to see where we've gone to. So that, along with mindfulness, meditation, qigong we've done before, breath work, sound bowl healing. We did ice baths on the weekend as well, which was amazing.
That
And
was cool too, because there was like sideways torrential rain coming down at the
I
same
know
time they were in the ice baths.
it was fantastic, and it was such a they're normally an individual healing thing, like for a footy player to heal their own injuries. But what I loved about ours was the supportiveness
Yeah.
of it. Like we're all surrounding one another and just, keeping each other's energy and that fight flight response, in check, and working through it. So it was really,
Mm.
yeah, it was fantastic. And yeah, so those are always good. Sometimes we do nature therapy as well. We did some of that with Peter on the weekend. Art therapy, just sort of depends on the facilitator at the time.
Mm.
We always have a great variety of facilitators. They're always, people that are really, really well connected and members of the veteran first responder community. That's the most important
Yeah,
part.
that's what
So
I love the most. And I actually experienced breath work for the very first time on your property at the 3-day wellness weekend with a guy named Lex. And I became addicted, studied it myself, and now I teach it. So I even know some people that have come to your retreats who, from that first initiation of whatever they've experienced from the people you've invited along, have now gone on to do their own,
yeah.
like learning yin yoga to teach it and meditation and all sorts of things. So yeah, it's been great to witness.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, that's the other thing I love about it. They find something that fits for them, like they know, everything's optional. It's not woohoo sort of stuff. Like it's actually stuff that does work. And don't get me wrong, I was a skeptic at the start, but after seeing what works and going through my own healing process as well, which was kind of forced upon me by Veterans Retreat, which is probably the most beneficial part of it, is it's actually helped my healing. And yeah, just seeing what works, hence why now I'm into ice baths, because I did it for the first time last year with a facilitator.
Yeah.
And you would have seen on the weekend, like I really struggle in that first 30 seconds to not give in to that fight flight response. But afterwards I feel amazing. So yeah, it's something that's definitely needed. And I love hearing things, hugs at the end of it and people saying, this has been life-changing. Reviews from others pretty well saying that, Veterans Retreat saved their life. So that's really, it's really important. And my focus is just one person. If I can help just one person, then we have achieved our goal, really.
Yeah, I love that, because that, again, is when you say that, what I see is you help that one person. It's like throwing a ripple in the pond and the ripples go out, because then they help that next person that helps that person. And it's like the grid lights up,
Yeah.
So
and so many people saying, oh, why haven't I come here before?
Yeah. And I think as well, like say they've come there for the first time and a friend's told them to come, it then opens their eyes to start looking at what else might be around them in their local areas if they're not even from there. So it's like you're planting seeds for people every day, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's lovely.
So you spoke into your healing journey. I want to go there a little bit more, just to hear sort of from when you first bought the property to now, like what are some of the major differences that you've traversed through that you find different from who you are today and perhaps how you came into the space?
Yeah, so look, 5 years ago I was angry. I was depressed. I was in a really, really dark space when I came here. And I didn't want anybody to feel like I felt. So that's why I started Veterans Retreat as a Facebook page for my mates to come and camp out in this amazing space and, check out my cool sheep and my other animals, because it's really, it makes me feel great. But it exploded. It exploded within 5 weeks from opening to being on the Channel 7 News to getting 140,000 hits and comments and messages, that I realized that this was really something that was needed, and turned it into that charity. But that first year, 3 months later, we're in COVID. And that was actually a bit of a blessing for me, because that first year I did daily posts. And it was daily posts just of my journey and how I was feeling. And I don't like to share, and I don't like to be vulnerable, and I didn't like to be emotional. And it was almost like I wasn't actually telling somebody, so I wasn't feeling vulnerable talking to the screen. But it resonated with so many people out there. And through COVID, I was getting these messages from people saying, how they wanted to end it all, but, they look forward to every post that I do, and they realize that they're not the only one. And there was just, and I was like, okay, wow, this is helping other people, which really is what fills my cup. Serving is who I am. But it did take me a significant time before I started serving myself. And I'm still going through that process. And, I've just made the major change here at Veterans Retreat for this year, like where I cut off the general camping. And that's a true testament to giving me time back again, and realizing that I'm important. And I mean, literally, I was kind of drowning here with helping everybody else. So I had to start setting some boundaries, and I'm just so grateful that, like, not a single person has attacked me for setting those boundaries. And you know what, even if they did, that's on them, not me. But I'm just so grateful for the supportive community. You think out of 10,000 people that follow you, and people that jump on your page, that somebody's going to say, you're a jackass or something for stopping the camping. But No, everybody's been fantastic.
Yeah.
So
And I think let's stay with that just for a bit. What you've said there and that boundaries piece, I think it's great that you've done it because it's also modeling to those within our community, veteran and first responders, hey, this is kind of a big thing. Because I don't know, I'd love to ask your opinion. Do you find it working with lots of external stakeholders and stuff within the community? It's kind of a veteran pattern to give, do, help to the complete sacrifice of self.
yes, absolutely it is. And, you know, I was very much getting into that space. And after the first year with just me, and at the time it was a 7 and a 4-year-old, I was exhausted. I
Mm.
didn't know how I was going to continue. I got to some really dark places here on my own, especially when I didn't have my children. That was the time, that I could explode. So I was in some really, really dark spaces. And I had an amazing friend help me through that. And then I met some amazing people from another um, camping area not far from here that was supporting veterans, who then came and lived here for, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, I can't even remember how many months. But that was Tracy and Dutchy, who were just beautiful, like
Oh, I
just,
love those guys.
oh my God, they're amazing. And they say that saved me, because really I was, 700 visitors that year during COVID,
Wow.
where like 3 months of that nobody was traveling. I was absolutely exhausted.
Yeah.
So, and then obviously going through my own stuff as well. So the moment I set boundaries, personally and professionally, is the moment, like, I didn't find my tribe came to me,
Oh,
and I
goosebumps.
and I think for me, your tribe is anywhere that you can be your authentic self.
Yeah.
It's not the people, it's actually you. And now the people that are surrounding me are the most beautiful. I've never had such a more supportive network, a better friend network, um, that surrounds me in this community. Like, I absolutely love it. It is my space. It is my people. They're beautiful. And I really, I wouldn't live anywhere else. And I can understand how people feel isolated, especially in the cities and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm so glad. I mean, the one thing I seriously miss about, leaving where I was, is that my mum was 5 minutes around the corner. So I do miss my mum and how much we hung out, but
She is pretty cool.
she is a bit of a legend. But yeah, I just love the people in this community, and I'm just so well supported. My whole family's supported, and yeah, people are beautiful here. So, and
What I
I
love too
think that's
is that you
because,
you bring them
yeah,
together. Even like when we come along to the weekends, it's like, oh, this is such and such. She runs this, this horse place down here. And then the neighbors, like I even know all your neighbors because they
yeah,
come to the things. It's just
yeah.
like, so you'll also have in the past run music concerts on your property. Did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, Beat the Retreat, our charity concert. So again, 2020, because like, what do you do when you're really, really down? You immerse yourself in all the things, and you do all the things. So Gympie Muster was cancelled because of COVID. I volunteer there every year. I love Muster, so I made a joke online that we should have our own. And next minute, Tony Hughes hit me up like, I'll play and I'll play. And oh, it was
Such a good event.
fantastic. It was fantastic, and it was right on the edge of almost having to be shut down a couple of days before, because of the girls that came over the border down at Logan. And COVID restrictions in place, but geez, we had a bloody great time. And it's run every year since. And our favorite legends beyond Sippy Creek have played at every single one of them. And even our Christmas parties and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm still in the, do I run it this year or I don't? Because I don't have Beyond Sippy Creek this year. They've all gotten partners and babies and marriages and all this sort of stuff. And I've seen them evolve from kids playing country music to
Yeah.
beautiful little families. So yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't feel right
We
without
shall
Beyond Sippy.
see.
Yes, watch this space.
Yeah. So, for those that might be interested in trying something like this or coming to the land or reaching out or anything like that, what advice do you have for the listeners?
The hardest part is getting through the gate.
Mm.
And you'll find every excuse under the sun. not to come. I know I would. I wouldn't come to these events. I would absolutely find every excuse under the sun. You know, that's why it's here, because it's like forced healing for me. And that's kind of really what I needed, because I'm super stubborn.
No.
I know, right? So yeah, getting through the gate's the hardest part. So, you know, if you want to start small, start small. If you're worried about coming for a weekend, maybe come for an equine therapy day. It's only 3 hours, you know, you can come, you can go. Reach out to me and say, hey, I really want this, but I'm anxious out of my mind. You know, I get you. I've been there. I am you. And we can organize like a day trip for you to come out, see the space, see where you'll be situated, see where you might accommodate or you might camp. And because once you've done it once, it's easier to come the second time. So when we also offer the camping or accommodation options the night before and the night after the retreat. So which is always been great, because then you can get here, get rid of all that anxiety, exhale, calm down, and then be ready the next morning. That's another reason why we changed the events to start on the Saturday morning as well. Travel, time stress. Time stress is such a big thing for veterans, and I hate being late. I can't stand it. So if we take away all that time stress, that's another stress that we take away. So yeah, and I tell everybody that comes to our retreats as well, like if they need that mental health break, reach out before you get too dark. We do, although we've stopped our general camping, that's because of, you know, grey nomads and this and that, just people just popping through. They just want a cheap spot to camp and, you know, kind of use and abuse a space. This is a healing space. That's what it wants, like the land wants to be a healing space. That's what it's absolutely built for. So if that's what you need, we're here for that. So whilst our general camping is shut off, if you need that quiet and you need that getaway, and you know, you don't want to be in a campground with 50 other people that are going to annoy the shit out of you, and you want to be on your own, this is a really safe space to do that in. You know, so I want to be on my own, but I want to be safe. That's this place for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen it evolve with what is available there too. Like when I think I was at your very first camp out, and now when I go, even on the weekend, there's male and female toilets, there's showers, there's dongas as accommodation. I've stayed in one of those rooms once when I was up at a training, and it is beautiful. I woke up and was just staring out the window going, "What? This is amazing."
Yeah.
Just so good. And the carports and the extra ability to keep out of the rain, because again, whenever I go there, it seems to rain. What's that
know,
about?
right? Whenever we run an event, I swear to God, the bloody rain. But it was really weird on the weekend. It was
Beautiful.
sunshine, and then it was sprinkling, and then it was sunshine. But I mean, even two of the girls on the weekend, they missed the first half of the first day. They came the Friday night, connected. They actually slept in until like 10:30. They got
Oh,
out of bed. They're like,
wow.
oh my God, I've never slept in so long in my entire life.
Yeah.
They're like, good morning. And I'm like, afternoon, ladies. And they're like, that was the best sleep I ever had. And I have so many people say that when they stay in those dongas. It's just quiet bliss.
Yeah, it
You
really,
wake up
really
and open your
is.
door and there's a wallaby, and, you know, or Splat, our lizard that lives down there. I think we call him Splat because he always runs across the road when you come home. So we're like, you're going to get splattered one day, mate. So we always got to watch out for him. But, you know, like all the peacocks out there, and they're like, oh my God, that was amazing.
Yeah, I remember one of my most favorite memories is Sass was teaching a morning meditation class, and all the chooks just came and was like hanging around her while she was teaching. It was so funny.
There's actually a lady that does chicken therapy, like animal therapy with chickens. Like,
Chickens.
I mean, it's animals, you know, they're fantastic. And
They are.
they are so very much drawn to the energies. And everybody, I mean, even Bronson that lives here is like, we get so many wallabies when you've got people here.
Yeah.
You'd think, you know, they'd go in, but like, and they come up real close and they're really intrigued at what we're doing. And it's just the energy that they can feel.
Yeah, yeah, really, really beautiful. Well, I look forward to seeing many more evolutions of the beautiful Veterans Retreat and all that you're creating up there. And thank you for sharing a little bit about yourself and the boundaries you're putting in place. And yeah, just in general, keep doing you.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you for coming on the podcast. Do you have any final words for our listeners before we part ways?
Oh, look, hit us up. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. Our website, veteransretreat.org.au, has got a lot of information about all the retreats and what it includes, and our equine therapy, which is run every month. You can also do one-on-one equine therapy as well. That's also available to be booked in if you don't want to come as part of a group. And yeah, so we do offer a lot of things, corporate events, when it comes to the holistic stuff as well. So, you know, nothing's out of the question. If you don't ask, you won't know.
Yeah, brilliant. And check out that website too. It'll be anywhere that this podcast is posted, because there are some beautiful images of the property on there and all the animals and all the things. So thank you so much, Kylie. Thank you, listeners. Katie out.